Good day, viewers. Welcome to a new edition of 30 Minutes, the interactive program of Trust Television with me, Manir Dan Ali. Our guest today is a professor of Arabic at the University of Abuja. I'm talking about none other than Professor Muhammad Ndagi, but he's not here to maybe dissect the lexical concerns of the Arabic language, because he's here to talk about something that affects almost all of Nigeria. It's a small bit of road that is so bad that people spend days on it. I'm talking about none other than the Agaye Bidda road that links northern and southern Nigeria. Professor Muhammad Ndagi, welcome to the program.
Thank you, sir.
It's unusual for the program to dwell on just one subject, but I thought that this is important enough. And you coming from that locality, your own village, if I may call it that, it's in that axis.
Town.
So, yes, your own town is in that axis. And I know you do go home, you hear from people there and all of that. We saw recently a trending video which was claiming that commuters in the last few days were stuck with no movement at all for 4 days in the same spot in that very important road corridor. Why was that the case? First of all, is it true? Because some of the things you see on social media, you ask questions. So maybe, is it true first?
It's true. There were accidents, and usually when accidents involve trailers or petrol tankers, they block the road.
And these accidents happen often?
Especially during rainy seasons. Sometimes not necessarily accidents, but when they get stuck in the mud, because you rarely find tar. Now, the road is completely...
It's just, there's no road there.
No
it's
road
just that
there.
People are guessing where the road is.
Where the road is.
Trying to navigate.
So when the trailer drivers or petrol tanker drivers tried to dodge some of the potholes that are big enough to even,
probably
swallow small cars. Then by the time they try to dodge, they fall down. The load they are carrying bring down the truck, and then another one trying to avoid this one to take another part of the road. If it gets stuck, it blocks the road. And this happens oftenly.
How often does it? Is it once a month now, or?
During rainy seasons, if you pass through that road, in fact, the road is now left for those of us who come from the area and we have no any other place to go than the place. Otherwise, the road is now left to trailers and petrol tankers. That's all. Nobody uses the road any longer. But for those of us that come from the place, we have no choice but to go.
You still have to go home when the occasion demands. Whether a funeral,
ceremonies, or our relations.
Just touch base.
Once we have need to go, we go. But even for those of us who have no choice, we are the only people using the road now with our small cars. But even then, sometimes we have to make calls. Please, what is the state of the road? If they say it's blocked, we suspend our going. Or if sometimes, even when you call and they say, well, the road is fairly okay, there is no any stock, the road is not blocked. Sometimes on your way, you go to meet it. And so what we do in such instances, there are feeder roads that link villages.
Roads, yes.
So villages will begin to follow villages that will take you a distance twice or 3 times the normal distance if the road were in a good state.
But that is only left for people who are from that area.
That area.
Because if you are just passing by, you wouldn't know the alternative.
The alternative road, yes. So, especially, and that, like I told you, only those of us that come from the area that use the road now. Nobody uses the road again.
And then it's only the trucks.
Only trucks. Because they don't have alternative. It's the major link between the north and southern part of Nigeria. Now, for those who are probably from...
Okay. Can that be challenged? Because I know there is a road between Birnungwari that also goes towards the south?
For quite some time, the road is fairly okay, but nobody takes that route again because bandits have already, it's infiltrated by bandits. So you either come and get stuck here for 4 or 5 days, but after a few days, you will get through, or you go there and risk
being kidnapped and spending months
in the hands of the bandits, because that is the only alternative. But even then, that Birnin-Gwadi road that takes you through Pandogari, Kagara, takes you to Mokwa before you now get to there. So this is the major link between the north and southern part of the country.
And it's in this very bad state.
It is, in fact, it is better imagined than anybody to just go to see the road. It's a completely failed road. The road that was constructed since 1981 by the Shagari administration, you expect that road to still be there without any maintenance?
But has it not been maintained for all this while?
Well, it got bad several years ago. But when General Abdusalam Abubakar became the head of state in 1999, PTF was still there. So he awarded the contract from Lambata to Mokwa, to Julius Berger.
Yes.
So Julius Berger started, first what they did was to fill all the potholes before they even arrive at site to begin the work. But shortly after, when new government came the same year, Obasanjo, I think one of the first things he did was to scrap PTF, and that was the end of that contract. So,
and since that, didn't the Obasanjo government award that particular road to another contractor?
No.
But what about the subsequent governments?
Well, under Jonathan, another contract was awarded between Lambata, Steel, and Mokwa. But what they did, the construction started from Mokwa and they stopped at Bida. And by the end of his administration, only Mokwa to Bida
was motorable.
It was okay. But between what remained then was between Bida and Lambata. And Lambata, up to Lambata.
Right.
Now
which are all in Niger State.
Which are all in Niger. Niger State has the longest distance of federal roads. Most of its roads are federal. Only very few are state roads. And you see, during Obasanjo time, there was an initiative where if state governments repair federal roads, he will pay them.
But I think the practice continued.
No, it didn't continue.
Him.
I don't think so.
I thought that I hear occasionally a governor gets refunded some money he spent on federal
I think that initiative got stopped under President Jonathan. So, but under Jonathan, another contract was out, which I told you they started from Mokwa there down to Bida. But by the end of his administration, it remained between Bida, Age, Lapai, up to Lambata.
Where is it now? I mean, nothing has happened since the Jonathan era, or has a new
Something has also happened.
Okay, so tell us.
I think in the second tenure of late President Muhammad Buhari, this initiative also, another one came up. Not state to repair and then get paid later, but this one they call it tax credit system. I'm sure you are aware.
Okay, that's for big companies who can now maybe pay for it and then they get, their tax gets deducted.
And that is the system. So what happened was there was a time for 5 or 6 days, trailers could not move from after Bida, from after a bridge called Wea Bridge, that is the Niger Bridge there,
right,
to Bida, to Age, up to after Lapai. So what they did, the trailer...
We're talking of a distance of maybe about 50, 60 kilometers?
Or something like that.
Right.
So what they did, the trailers now, they have their union, so they came to Lambata and blocked the road. No one could reach to go through this Lambata Age road.
Between north and south was kind of cut off.
The alternative, which was for travelers to go through Mina to Bida road is a state road. And the state is always working on the road. Right. So they had that alternative. But if that alternative was left, government probably would not listen. So the trailer, the tanker drivers, and they all
blocked all the access
to right, Mina and to this Lapai road too. So for 5, 6 days, nobody could move. and the Minister of Works then and the Permanent Secretary, they all came down and they begged them to open. And that was what brought the
new contract. Now for the
so what they did, there was a problem in the supply chain of petroleum products. So NNPC now agreed that the money that was to be paid
for the reconstruction of the road,
they should remove it from the money that was to come to it as tax, as revenue.
Right.
So the then chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Muhammad Ndagi,
who happens to come from the locality,
in fact,
because he's a Niger man,
yes,
and his village Nami is somewhere there.
No, it's under Agay Emirate. His village is under Agay Emirate. Yes. Well, but the road is not just serving Agay, like all the three emirates, of the whole of Nupe Emirates. Because
I thought it's the whole of Nigeria because it's a link road.
It's a link. If you look at the economic relevance of the road to the country, you will say it's the whole country too. So he gave the check. There was a ceremony, a little ceremony there where the Etunupe, the Etu of Agay, the Etu of Lapa, they were all there, and the check was given. So the contractor reported aside.
Yes.
Now, since they started from Mokwa to Bida the other time, the contractor now also started from the Lambata end or axis of the road. And he did up to Lapai and another about 10 kilometers after Lapai. So there is a distance of about 10 to 15 kilometers. Let's put it at 15 kilometers between Lapai and Agay now. That is bad. And completely between Agay and Bida, there is no road. Let's just say there is no road there.
Have you not passed it yourself? Because, I mean, being from the locality, I believe whoever goes to Agay will probably also go to Bida.
If I have any
even if for nothing to see the Etunupe.
Of course, I go to Etunupe. Of course, if I have any reason to go to Bida, I take Mina. Even from Agay, I will have to go to Mina to come to Bida. Agay
even though Bida and Agay are just...
Bida and Agay, you can say a trust on because it's less than 40 kilometers. Precisely, it's 37 kilometers. But the alternatives you have, you either go through Mina,
which is more than 100 kilometers.
Mina Agay is about 90 kilometers. Then Mina Bida 2 is about 89, 90 kilometers.
So you rather take this 170 or so odd kilometer road than the 37 that is just...
Or another alternative is for you to go on motorcycle. So some of us go on motorcycle. You drop your car. So you go on motorcycle, but even motorcycle, there was an instance I had a course, I had to hire a motorcycle, but after Badegi and Bida, the whole, because it was in a marshy area, even the motorcycle could not move. So we had to return. So the road is as bad as better imagined, sir.
So tell me now, if we go back to this 4-day, the recent, which is just a few days ago,
yes.
The 4 days standstill.
Yes.
How was it solved, if it has been solved?
It has been solved. They had to, each time such situations arise, people go to call the company because the company has a site in Agay and another site after Lapai, even though they are not... Well, they are not on site, they are not working.
Not actually working.
They are not actually working, but they have their equipment in these two sites there. So they will go and approach them, and then they will come with their equipment to remove
whatever is blocking
the. That's what has been happening. And is incessant, always. It's a frequent happening there. So I was trying to say that during that check that was given, that tax credit funding model, so they did up to Nami, where Muhammad Ndagi himself, we didn't know what happened, and after Nami, the contractor disappeared.
So he could go to his village from Abuja, for example, without stress.
But for those of us who come from Agay and other places, Badegi, and even up to Bida, for Bida people, they have an alternative. But that alternative is also painful. If Agay and Bida is less than 40 kilometers, why should we have to go to Mina from Lambata, and from Lambata you start going to Bida again? Although I'm not an economist, I want to believe that the cost, even if it were to be through this tax credit model of funding the project, the cost of constructing this 50-length kilometer road, I think it's not up to the cost of the losses and the devastations that we are suffering on this road.
I will want us to come to that after this very short break in the program. Welcome back. It is still 30 minutes, the interactive program of Trust Television, and our guest today is Professor Muhammad Ndagi, who is helping us to understand a particularly bad portion of a road between Bidda, Agaye, and Lambata that is very important for linkage between northern and southern part of the country, and which is currently facing a big challenge. Professor, before we went on break, you were mentioning the cost, the huge cost to the whole country. What about to maybe people who come from there? I mean, aside from the social cost, you can go home, you can attend all the things you wish to attend. Has it been affecting life there?
Of course. There are some major markets in that area. Agaye market, which is a weekly Sunday market, is like the other markets you hear of, either in Giwa or some of them also Saminaka and another one in Kano, Dawano, and it's like that. People come, in fact, I used to know, even from Niger Republic, is a real grains market. Now, with this state of the road, it is affecting the economy of the people from these communities that host this road, especially this Agaye market. I want to tell you, in the past, about 15, 20 years, I used to know that if you do not have trucks that come to load grains from the Agaye market, you have at least 200. The same thing with Mokwa market. Now, if Mokwa market is as big as Agaye market too, and we also have another one, Kacha market, because Kacha is, you get a lot of fish there. So the fish market
by the riverside.
Kacha is by the riverside, just like Baro. Well, we may not even talk of Baro here, because how do you even access Baro?
Actually, I wanted us to come to Baro as well, because maybe many people don't know the geography that Agaye and Baro are neighboring areas, and Baro is where that inland port of Nigeria is supposed to be. That's of northern, that could serve northern Nigeria. Under Buhari, big contract was given, big ceremony was held to commission it, but I hear there is also no road to get there. I know you have visited the Baro port. Can you give us an account of maybe what do you, as a non-technical person, see as the hindrance to the operations of Baro? That is aside from the fact that the River Niger itself needs to be dredged and all of that.
Okay, so you see, beside the economy of the host communities, I'll get to Baro later, sir, of the economy of the communities around this road, I've mentioned Mokwa, I've mentioned Agaye, I've mentioned Kacha. Sometimes, sir, you find it difficult, even when you have people who need medical attention from these communities, from Badegi. Take example from Badegi.
Which is where the home of the Rice Research Institute of Nigeria.
Is, yes, Badegi or from Agaye. Sometimes Agaye people have the option of going through Kacha. There is a state road that links Badegi to Kacha, which is still in a, well, in the Nigerian sense, motorable. So you can go from Agaye, go to take that Kacha road to come to Badegi. But even when you get to Badegi, you are in trouble, because the road from Badegi that will take you to Bida is worse than the state of the road from even Nami to Agaye. It's very terrible. It's in a very terrible condition. So you have a patient, somebody who needs medical attention, probably somebody, a woman who is in labor. How do you, and all these communities that are saying, even the hospitals, it's only where we have Bida that we have a federal medical center, which is tertiary. Now, if the person you have, the case you have is complicated and is beyond what a secondary health facility like the General Hospital in Agaye or the General Hospital in Badegi can have, how do you access medical attention for that patient? And now you can also see that these communities have also suffered. Sometimes when these trailers fall into ditches, especially the tankers, they explode into flames.
Explosion. Even today there was explosion not in Niger State, but in Ogun State, and people are
so Agay, Lapai, we have suffered so many of such explosions, death, properties. So the devastation is also better imagined. So
can we then move on to
Baro? Yes,
because it's in the same neighborhood.
Yes.
And you have visited, and I want to hear your own maybe take on it, because we've had so much, but the fact remains, Baro Port, billions have been spent. It is not functioning, and we hear one of the major hindrances is there is no access road that can take you to the Baro Port or to Baro town itself and out. And it happens to be where this terrible link we've been talking about is also located.
Okay, as I answer, I hope we will have time to come back to what do we do, what do we expect on this Agay road. Now let's go to Baro. If you are going to Baro, there's only one way to Baro, no any other way. And you have to go through Agay or through Kacha. Okay, the road between Agay and Kacha, because you have to get to Kacha before you get to Baro, is 27 kilometers. This road, for more than 25 years, contracts have been awarded, re-awarded, re-awarded, re-awarded. The last one, I think in about a decade ago, the contractor stopped halfway. But what he did, he cleared, it's motorable anyway, but the tar stopped almost halfway. Then the remaining one, there is no tar.
So and the contractor is no more there.
It's no more there, it's not on site. Yes. So, but you can get fairly, it's motorable up to Kacha. But between Kacha and Baro...
And what was the length? How many kilometers?
I have no idea.
Is it up to 20 kilometers or less?
It's more than 20 kilometers. But because the road is so narrow and is so terribly bad, in fact, if you are using a car, you have to be searching for the road. Where do I follow? Where do I follow? Because nobody goes there again. It's only motorcycles that go there. But for those of us that come from the area, either Agay or Baro, we have no choice. Like the emir, the HO of Agay, if he has any reason to visit his people there, he has no choice but to follow this same road in its worst state. You can't say bad, in its worst state. He goes there.
So which means even if the port itself is okay, there is no way any truck can go to either take goods there to the port or evacuate goods from the port because there is no road.
Not even truck, even a Hilux that we know that they say is made for Nigeria, is made for Nigerian road. Even Hilux is difficult. The best car for now is maybe if you have a Jeep, a very strong Jeep. But outside of that, I don't think you can access Baro. So even if you go to the port, where is the road is not there. And even the port itself, some of us who know what a port should be, because we have visited ports, I have traveled through international ports by sea between countries and countries outside of Nigeria.
I know you studied in Sudan, so probably you went to Saudi by ship.
I went to Saudi in 1994. I went to Saudi by ship. It took us 14 hours, and I also returned back to Sudan. I went to perform Hajj in 1994.
So comparatively, you can see that the port in
Baro is not a port. It's a window dressing. And I think it's just that, well, maybe those people, the government just don't have the political will to do it.
But is it just the political will? Because you see contracts like this happen. Remember the Abuja to Lokoja Expressway that was awarded in 2006 for 42.3 billion. Is yet to be completed 20 years after. I've seen a report earlier this year where David Umahi, the works minister, is saying by April next year we'll finish the Abuja-Lokoja Expressway. So it's not just Baro or the Agay Road that is having this problem. It's probably a big Nigerian problem about contract. So I don't know what you think should be done.
You see, but not too long ago, you know, our governor too, is not that he's just silent over it. He made efforts. And Dangote has promised him that through this tax credit system, he's ready to construct the road, the remaining part of the remaining section of the road between Nami and Bida. He's ready to do it. The question is, why has he not started? The governor has met him,
well,
and Dangote has
there's the
agreed.
bureaucracy, there are papers to sign, and
but how long will that break? People are dying every day because they follow that road. Can you quantify death? Can you quantify the loss in death?
I saw that even in February this year, a representative House of Reps member from Niger and another from Kogi raised the issue of that particular road, plus also the road linking, I think, Lokoja and Edo State, which is equally, in some portions, very bad. So it's not that those in authorities are not doing something. Maybe it is not delivering the results you want.
Maybe some of us, because I wouldn't say I'm completely unaware of bureaucracy. You can't sit down and just award contract. Even in the case of this tax credit that Dangote has offered, the contract has to be reviewed. And you know it involves processes. And probably it may be also open to bidding. And then, so maybe such things are going on. I'm not. Recently, the House of Rep committee, they even visited the area. They went to Agay, they even went to Baro, and they followed this road. And I'm sure it's not that they are just, but what's my people at home who are not aware of what bureaucracy means, as far as they are concerned, the pace at which the response is coming is too slow. They feel it's too slow. And if you put it within the context of national economy, I think government should be concerned. Look, this Agay road, for a 24-hour blockade alone, it is better, the cost of that loss is better imagined, sir, because the supply chain, you can't do without this road in the supply chain of petroleum products in this country.
You can do if your railway is working well, because then you wouldn't have to be there taking goods by trucks or taking fuel by tankers. You could just have lots of wagons and tankers that, but I don't know, does the railway pass anywhere near you? Is it functioning?
The construction of the Baro Mina Railway in 1911, the rails are there, but I don't know, I cannot remember the last time that that train moved between Mina and Baro. Up till now, the railway station is still there, but moribund. But Baro is still an option, just like the railway. If this port that we had been, the river Niger had been dredged as we had from Onitsha to Baro, and from that, there was even a time under Amici that they only awarded a contract to dredge the port further from Onitsha down to the Atlantic. So if this route, this waterway had been dredged and Baro port had been constructed and put in place, you don't need all these trailers and tankers on the road, because it's an alternative. The road is there. When the fuel arrives in Baro, the bridging will not be from Lagos to Abuja here, as it were. It will not be from just Baro through Lokoja, or even from Lokoja, or even from Baro through Agay to Abuja here.
Are you confident that maybe before the next election, 2027, maybe some movement will be made on the matter?
That is our hope. But we hope that, because, let me say this, the people from my area, they do block voting for any government that is in power. And the people are agitating that probably government is not aware that they contributed to its coming to power. So I'm advising that, please, government should do something before the next election. And I think it is doable.
Thank you very much, Professor Muhammad Ndagi, for coming onto the program.
Thank you, sir.
Viewers, that's the end of this edition of 30 Minutes. Keep a date with us.